I'm Ross Trelevin, and this is another version of our Spotlight series. Today, I'm talking to Danny. First of all, today I'm in the Denver office, in John Martin's office. And John, thank you for letting me use your office. But I'm talking to Danny Liming in Eugene, Oregon. Danny, can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Ross. My name is Danny Liming. I've been with Sprague for about 3.5 years. I'm going on 4 years. Been in the industry about 29 years, and most of that has been in Southern California. Almost all of that 29 years is in commercial pest control. Some of the companies I worked for were Ecolab and Western Exterminator, now Rent-A-Kill. And thanks for having me here. I guess I should feel. Well, you said I was voluntold to be here, or?
Well, I mean, with you, Danny, a lot of people are voluntold to do things. You specifically. Thanks for joining me. So you've been in the industry 29 years. That means you probably have a story or two or an unusual job that you've been a part of over the years. What's one of the more unusual things you've seen in the 29 years that you've been here?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I've seen just about everything. In Southern California, there's a lot of things to see. There's a lot of things to kill, but some of the most unusual things that I've ever encountered are actually up here in Oregon. And, primarily here in our Eugene office, we deal with a lot of grass seed fumigation. And that's where we go into warehouses that hold grass seed, and we introduce the fumigant, and we kill primarily mice and sometimes soil product pests. And that's something that I've never had any experience with down in California. So that's kind of new to me. It's kind of cool to me. Other things that I have found kind of new here in Oregon, in the Willamette Valley, are nutria. I've never seen nutria in California. And even dealing with some turkey abatement as some of our one of my customers. So yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. It's been cool. A lot different than a lot of the other companies I used to work for. So
I haven't heard turkey abatement ever. In fact, most of the time when we talk about turkeys, people talk about Thanksgiving or turkey hunting, but right. I haven't heard of turkey abatement. That is, what goes into a turkey abatement job?
Well, so we had to reel in Keith Rowney on this one, and you have to get clearance from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and you primarily use a repellent that you kind of spray on the ground, kind of treat the ground where they kind of hang out at, and I guess it's extremely noxious. It's a very pungent smell for turkeys. They don't like it, and they kind of stay away from those areas. It doesn't hurt the turkeys, but it kind of keeps them off of the customer's property. And the customer at that particular facility was worried about, an auditor when they were getting ready for their audit. They didn't want to have turkey poo-poos everywhere, and
wow.
And so they wanted those gone. And also we use a coyote decoy out there to kind of scare them away. It's a secondary effect that the customer actually named the coyote decoy Danny. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, I mean, most of the time about turkey hunting, I've heard about some frustrated turkey hunters like Jared Wallace. He's just looking in the wrong spot. Apparently you could show him where to go.
Oh, they're all over here. So tell them to come over here.
So what's one of the differences between working in Los Angeles versus working in Eugene?
Well, I would say working in Eugene, the people here are a little bit more green, I can say. They're people in LA seem to be a little bit more, I don't care what you got to do, take care of the problem, and a little different mentality in Southern California. Here, they want you to take care of the problem, but they don't want you to use any pesticides. And basically get rid of the problem organically or whatever. Don't use any material, don't use any pesticides, and take care of the problem. That's kind of one of the biggest differences I've seen from Southern California anyways to this part of Oregon.
Well, and I think cockroaches were a big part of accounts and preventing them in Los Angeles County, especially. Am I right about that?
Yeah. And so a lot of my experience, Ross, is with German cockroaches, and in LA County particularly, if a health inspector walks into any facility and sees a live cockroach, even a dead cockroach, they have every right to shut down that facility for 24 to 48 hours. When post a big sign on the front door, it says vermin infestation, closed due to vermin infestation. So you can only imagine what that does to, customer perception and their business. So it's very.
I remember where I was driving somewhere and you were new to Sprague and you called me to say, Ross, I can't put insect monitors in here. And I thought you were pulling my leg.
Well, I mean, we know that we know that the cockroaches are there. We don't need to monitor them. We need to kill them. And that's,
yeah,
that's, and in LA County, I mean, we don't have the luxury of time in LA County. In other counties in California and here in Oregon, it might be a little bit more laxed. I know Orange County in California is kind of ramped up as well, but basically in that situation, those cockroaches have to go now.
Well, back in the old days, let's say the olden days, you worked with several people at Sprague, who are at Sprague now. In fact, I believe you introduced me to all of them in some capacity. Do you have any stories about anyone else that you've worked with over the years? Of course, the appropriate ones, Danny, that now works at Sprague.
Well, I mean, I'm real happy that Sandy's here and she's running, our LA operation down there. Those of you who don't know, I worked under Sandy for about 15 years in Western Exterminator's commercial night division. So she ran the night division and I worked under her, and we primarily worked at night. We went into a lot of these facilities with keys and alarm codes. And I was Sandy's first hire at Western Exterminator, now Rent-A-Kill.
Wow.
And and the only thing I can say about that is I'm so thankful she didn't fire me, because I know she probably got a few gray hairs because of me.
Well, now she's going to be voluntold to be on here then at some point. I'm going to ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, who else did you work with before that now you work with as well? So
Sean Candelaria, who is Eugene branch manager, I worked with him, and I got lots of stories there, but that could take up like 20 Zoom conferences. But
and most of those stories probably I can't have you tell here.
Yeah, you want G-rated stories, correct?
I do. It's PG at the most. Yeah.
PG. So Walter, I worked with Walter for a while too. Walter Parada.
Right. Yeah.
And Walter is a very good, capable commercial technician, especially in food processing. And awesome. We're lucky to have him. So Absolutely. We're lucky to have Sean. We're lucky to have Sandy and Walter.
Absolutely.
Me, maybe not so lucky.
Oh, come on. You give yourself too little credit. So what are some of the things you like to do in your personal life when you're not at Sprague, when you're not working?
Okay. So you might know this, but I have a maritime credential. So I have a 100-ton maritime credential. So technically I'm a captain, but don't call me captain. You don't need to salute me. I love to saltwater fish. I have a passion for saltwater fishing, particularly tuna. I like chasing tuna, albacore, yellowfin. Moving up here to the Northwest, it's mostly a salmon game. So I'm trying to get a little bit more experience with salmon and Dungeness crab and those sort of things. But I love doing that. I love camping. I love hunting. I have 4 children. They live pretty much, they're spread out. I have one daughter in Reno. I have one daughter in Rexburg, Idaho. I have a son in Point Loma down in San Diego, and I have another daughter in Point Loma as well, San Diego. And my mom and my brother live in Claremont, California. And that's where I'm from. I'm from Claremont. It's a little town about 40 miles east of Los Angeles. And I miss everybody. I think probably the hardest thing coming here with Sprague was just being away from my family, my friends, and kind of adapting to Oregon life.
Well, yeah, different than Southern California life for sure.
A lot different, but I love it here.
So then Brandon or Rob, if you're hearing this or watching this, it sounds like Danny's got family in the area, so he'd love to come help in Rexburg or in Reno if you ever need it. Sounds like to me. We don't work in Point Loma yet, but one day, Danny, maybe we'll have a family trip there
soon.
for you. Now, I believe that you won a fishing derby at some point, and you happened to run into somebody else from Sprague. How did that story go exactly?
So basically, me and Sean and our other friend Reggie, we won a halibut tournament down in California. And the halibut, so we won first place with the largest halibut. I didn't catch the halibut, just for the record.
Full disclosure, Reggie caught the halibut.
It was on my boat. I set the rod. I saw the rod going first. And I said, Reggie, you're going to get that rod anytime now. But anyways.
So Sean was just there.
Yeah. Sean was just sitting there looking at it. They were both talking. I was the one focused. But I was driving the boat. All right. So make a long story short, we won the tournament. And that tournament was the first place was round trip for 2 to Sitka, Alaska at Sitka Point Lodge. And that was basically 4 days of fishing at Sitka Point Lodge. And we got on the airplane there and Ontario, and then we flew into Seattle, and then we got on the plane in Seattle, and then Jeff Weir is sitting there in first class. And we met Jeff Weir, and I'd already met Jeff Weir, but Sean had never met him, and Reggie had never met him, and we ended up mobbing around town a little bit in the Sitka Point Lodge van. It was pretty fun.
That's so funny. How random is that to be going on vacation and to run into Jeff Weir going to work in Sitka? That's too funny. That's awesome.
He's a cool guy. He actually bought us dinner, so it was a good deal.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. Danny, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for telling your story to everybody here. I really appreciate you taking time today.
No problem. That's it?
Yes, that's it. We haven't stopped recording, but yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Ross. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny.
Take care.